Hey everyone, today we're back with Mint Chip, and today we're going to be talking about my mother. She was from my experience, a really bad mom. I have two siblings, my brother and sister. My brother is the middle child, and he's 10 years older than I am, so I think that verifies me as a mistake. But when I was like 5, my brother had already filed this thing to where he wouldn't have to see my mom again. And he really never did. It was only like twice after that. My sister was obviously my mom's favorite. There was no question about it. She was always pampered, always got the new phone and all that, while me and my brother were just kind of stuck there. When my siblings moved out, stuff got really bad. She started doing drugs. I was in this daycare type thing. She used to work at a high school. And I had broken my foot on the playground. Now, you'd think that a toddler not being able to walk would be a major red flag and to have something checked out. Well, of course, my mom just said screw it and never took me to the hospital or doctor or anything to get it checked out. And the only time I finally did was when I was finally let over back by my dad's a month later. So by that time, my foot was purple. I remember it completely. That's one of my most vivid memories. And going to the doctor, they're like, it's broken. There's no question about it. But due to me walking on it, or at least attempting to, and it not being immobilized for over a month, it had healed crooked. So now I have a crooked foot and can't really run at all anymore. And if I stand on it too long, it gets this weird thing where it like pops and then I can't walk. So she ended up starting drugs. She mostly liked Freon, a computer cleaner. And that's basically what my house would smell like every day. I remember this one time I was having DCFS stop by my house every, once a week. And they're supposed to, help out kids in my situation with my mom. Well, that's not really what happened, even though I showed my DCFS worker her stash of Freon cans. There had to be a good 3-4 dozen cans in that stash. But of course, didn't do anything. My mom ended up going to rehab at one point, and I ended up living with my Grandpa John for a few weeks. And when she got back out, it was back to the same old shit. And it was basically my whole life from when I was around 5 to when I was 10. One night, I remember, this is probably one of my worst memories. I would play with the neighborhood kids. I lived in a close, tight-knit neighborhood of apartments, but they were more like conjoined houses. It was weird. But I'd play with the neighbor kids. There were 10 of us, all around the same age, and we'd play football and all that until it got dark out, and sometimes we'd even play in the dark because there were street lights. This one time, we finish playing, and I go home, And I knock on my door. No answer. I knock on it again for a second time. There's no answer. And finally, on the third knock, my mom opens up the door. Fully nude. She's standing there looking at me. I can tell she's drugged off her fucking ass. I mean, it was horrible. I mean, she barely had her even eyes open. And I tried to get past her to go inside. And she blocks me. And I'm like, Mom, what are you doing? And she asked who I was. Her own son. And now, mind you, I was like 7, so I wasn't anything new. And she asked who I was. I told her I was her son. And to that, she looked at me and said that she didn't have one, and slammed the door in my face, hitting me in the head. Thank God my one friend was decent and let me spend the night at his house, even though his mom was gone. He was the oldest out of all of us. He was, I think he was like in 7th grade, and I spent the night over by his house. There was, of course, also the time that she killed my cat, which I wrote about in the story of my 2 cats. My cat would have been perfectly fine if she had just gotten that little surgery. It was only like $300. I almost paid for the whole thing. But no, my mom wanted all that fucking money at the cost of my beloved pet's life. And then on top of that, to make a 6-year-old carry their dead cat in their own arms is just, it's heartless. And I'll never forget it. So then after that, I was, I lost all love for her. I'm gonna be honest, I did. Stuff got worse. I ended up moving back with my dad for a little bit, but, I went back to her. Then she almost killed me and herself in a, car accident where she drove herself into a pond and almost drowned. And 3 minutes before that, she had dropped me off over by my dad's, saying, "Have fun at your mom's house." She was drugged off her mind once again. Well, when I was, I think, 9, it was, I think, 5th grade, I come home from school, and my dad asks me to sit down, and he says I have to get rid of my cats. And I burst into tears. I love my cats so much, and now I had to get rid of a part of me. And through my tears, I ask, why? Why do I have to get rid of my pets? And he says, because your mother died. I looked at him, and I smiled. I feel bad for doing it, but I smiled the biggest smile I think I've ever smiled. And apparently she had done some more drugs and overdosed and died. So that was that story. I went to her funeral, didn't shed a freaking tear. And I think my sister took the ashes. I'm not sure. I really don't care though. I hate what she did to me and the things I loved. And for what? It's not like she actually loved me. It's not like she really wanted to do anything. Because of her yelling and screaming, now I can't be in a place with yelling people. A school assembly? No way. At a friend's or family's house for a sports game? There's no way. I will freak out, I will start to cry, and I'll have almost a panic attack. It's So yeah, that was my mom. Of all people, you think that'd be the least person to do those kinds of things. But no, not in my case. And I know a lot of people probably have that same problem. And for those of you that do, I am so sorry that you have to go through this. It's absolutely horrible. So, I think this is going to be it for this video. Yeah, that's going to be it. So, I hope that you all have a wonderful day or night wherever you are. And